alayhi salatu wasalam, was the message that he now had. Put him inherently at odds with society around him. It's really interesting because if you think about da'wah, when Allah talks to us about da'wah, Allah talks to us about how to be as agreeable as possible in our da'wah. أُدْعُ إِلَى سَبِيلِ رَبِّكَ بِالْحِكْمَةِ وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ. Call to people with wisdom and beautiful preaching. إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Respond to that which is evil with that which is better. Da'wah is about trying to be as agreeable as possible, using the best of manners and the best of etiquette and showing people the most beautiful of your example, right? And not offending them with your tone, not offending them with your behavior, not putting unnecessary barriers between you and them because you want to speak past their ego, not to their ego. Because if you involve the ego, then the ego is a barrier between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They won't be able to hear the beauty of the message. So you want to get your own ego out the way so that you can help them remove their ego, so that the beauty of the message can come from your heart to theirs. So ghurba is not about being disagreeable, right? Ghurba is that there's something inherent about your standards that makes you objectionable. In other words, you're not forcing the difference or the dispute. It's actually being forced upon you because people in chaos do not like people in tranquility. People of confusion do not like people of clarity sometimes. I don't like that you're not changing with me, or that you're not as confused as me, or that you are not involved in what I'm involved in. And so you inevitably, as a result of insisting on your principles, not as a result of your objectionable or disagreeable behavior, as a result of your insistence on your principles, you become ostracized. You don't ostracize. You become pointed out or singled out as being different. You don't point fingers at people. And so there is a ghurba, there is a strangeness, an unfamiliarity that starts to arise. And that strangeness of standard changes with circumstances, because not all people have the same standards and not all people are the same. And Imam al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that the Muslim is ghareeb amongst non-Muslims. Strange. What's up with your Islam? What is it with this religion of yours? So you become strange, or the believer amongst people that don't believe. But then he said, the muttaqi, a person who's God conscious, becomes ghareeb amongst the Muslims. Al-muttaqeen become ghuraba amongst the Muslimin. How is that possible? People of taqwa, people of piety, people of God consciousness. Because piety means that you are more aware of the sight of God upon you than anyone else's sight, in a way that causes you to relinquish certain sins that have become normalized amongst the people, even amongst the Muslims. So a practicing Muslim, actually I don't want to use those words because I actually don't like the words practicing and non-practicing. We're all in a spectrum of Islam. We say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah and we try our best. But someone who is practicing a particular element of their faith, or refusing to engage in a particular sin that has become normalized amongst the people, becomes ostracized. You think you're better than us? You think you're a better Muslim than us? You think you understand Islam better than us? I changed your diapers. I saw you grow up. Who do you think you are? I come from this place and that place. How dare you try to challenge our culture and our ideals? Right? How dare you try to be different? And it's like, I'm not trying to be offensive. And I'm not talking about the guy that, goes from the club to the masjid and then goes home and starts breaking TVs and says astaghfirullah and haram and everything you do is bid'ah and shirk and kufr. I'm not talking about that guy. I'm talking about the person who embarks on a journey of God consciousness and then in the process starts to become very uncomfortable with things that have been normalized even amongst the Muslims. Like, I'm not okay with this. This is deeply uncomfortable. May Allah bless you and reward you. Jazakumullahu khairah. I love you and I respect you, but I'm not okay with this, and we should reconsider this, and we should change this about ourselves. Speaks in a language of clarity, but in a way that inshallah ta'ala can help grow. But even if you speak like Ibrahim alayhi salam spoke to his father, if the heart of the father of Ibrahim is in a person, then that is araghibun anta an alihati ya Ibrahim. I'm going to stone you. How dare you Challenge me, even if you use the best etiquette, because there's a disruption on the inside. But the muttaqeen become ghuraba amongst the Muslimin. This could also become, by the way, in regards to our social interactions, when you're sitting around and you're that one person that doesn't like backbiting. And so when someone's name comes up, you have this reaction like, stop. Can we change the subject, please? I don't like talking bad about people. And I don't like you talking about people. Can we change the subject? You know, I had an uncle, rahimahullah ta'ala, who passed away recently. He wasn't a Muslim who even prayed at some point in his life, never used to go to the masjid until, alhamdulillah, the last year of his life, alhamdulillah. But even before that, I saw his akhlaq, his character. And he was the most interesting person, subhanAllah. He used to wave people off when they started backbiting. It was really interesting. So he was the most quiet person in the gathering, super quiet, always had a big smile on his face. He had a smile that resembled the smile of my mom, rahmatullah alayha. And I remember, you know, if people started to talk bad about someone, he'd be like,